What is going on, everyone? We are talking NFL power rankings after 3 weeks of this young NFL season. And we have some shifting going on in my top five rankings. That's because three of the five teams in the top five spots last week lost. The Rams, the Ravens, and the Green Bay Packers all lost. They were in the top five last week. So did all three drop out? Did one drop out? Did two drop out? Who dropped out? Who moved in? What's going on? Let's go through our top five rankings for this week as we prep for a week 4 in the NFL season. We begin at number 5. And at number 5, I have the Detroit Lions. Yes, they are making their appearance into the top 5 rankings after defeating one of the before mentioned teams that lost, and that's the Baltimore Ravens. I already had the Ravens. I believe I had them at 5 last week because already their defense was kind of shaky. I didn't like the opening game against Buffalo, how, their defense, even though Derrick Henry fumbled in a crucial drive towards the end, the defense still gave up over 40 points. And I don't think that's sustainable for a championship-worthy team. Then they came back the following week and also gave up a whole bunch of points. I'm blanking on who they were playing, but they gave up a lot of points. And I just don't think that it was Cleveland. Oh, no, they whooped on Cleveland. That's who they played, right? Let me check. I'm pretty sure they only gave up 10 points. Here we go. That was week 1. Yes, it was the Browns. I'm pretty sure. Divisional game. Yes, they gave up 17 points to the Cleveland Browns, which doesn't sound like terrible, but it's the Cleveland Browns whose offense is not that great. So again, then they came back this week against Detroit and they got whooped by the Lions. And the Lions, like I said, I didn't think would be as bad as that week 1 showing. And they're back to being the Lions. So they are in at number 5 with a 2-1 record after back-to-back convincing wins. I mean, they whooped on the Chicago Bears in week 2, and now they took care of the Baltimore Ravens in week 3, which I even myself thought would be a tough game in Baltimore. Lamar's pretty good on primetime and against NFC teams, and the Lions did their job. All right, number 4 in the power rankings, I went with the Green Bay Packers. So they did not exit the top 5, and that's because I think they have an unbelievable defense. And like I've said before, I value defense. And the Packers, yes, they're 2-1, and yes, they're coming off a loss. But, hey, they were number 2 in the top 5 rankings last week, so they still dropped 2 spots. They played the Cleveland Browns and lost, which, yes, like they should, take a hit for losing to the Cleveland Browns. But if you watch the game, I mean, one, they were kind of playing with their food. They were up 10-0 early in the 4th and should have kind of closed it out at that point. Then you had a bad Jordan Love interception. And again, that's one play that pretty much changed the game. Because at that point, had that not been a pick, let's say they had to punt it away or something and have backup Cleveland Browns back them up to where they would have had to put together a long drive, I think their defense would have held up. But obviously that turnover hurt them. Now Cleveland had solid field position. They gave up a huge run, which that was on the defense of Quinshon Judkins, the rookie running back. And they also had a kick that would have won the Packers a game blocked at the end with under a minute left that then gave Cleveland the ball with a chance to drive down 30 yards and hit a field goal themselves to win it. So I'm not knocking the Packers too much for that. I mean, they should have taken care of business early in that game and not been in that kind of a tight situation. But again, a few plays here and there, and we would have been talking about the 3-0 Packers getting a gutsy win in Cleveland. So, I mean, it is what it is, but ultimately, they dropped a few spots. They are number 4 in the power rankings. Number 3, welcome to the top 5, is the LA Chargers. The Chargers, I mean, I thought about maybe not giving them this much credit to put them all the way up to 3. But honestly, their defense has been solid, and Herbert has been playing pretty well. And they're 3-0 in the division, which divisional games, I don't care if it's the worst team in your division. Divisional games are always tough, are always tricky. And I feel like even teams that should sweep their division usually maybe lose a game within there because those teams know each other best. They see each other twice a year, every single year. So, expecting to go perfect within the division, even if you are a superior team, is really tough to do. But also the AFC West is one of the best divisions in football, in my opinion, with the worst team being the Raiders. But then you got the Chiefs, who haven't looked great, but they're still the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, and the Broncos, who many people were thinking this could be their Super Bowl year. And they took care of the Broncos this last week. Herbert came through with a drive at the end. Got to give him credit, and their defense has held up. So ultimately that gives the Chargers, that bump. They get into the top 5 and they sit at number 3. All right, number 2, Buffalo. The Bills are number 2 because they are undefeated and they took care of business. They took care and they beat up on a team that they should have beat up on. They beat the Jets 30-10. And yeah, they got the job done. And it's the Jets. So, it's not a big win, but I like when good teams trounce on bad teams. And if they would have won this game 27-24, then I might have had the Chargers ahead of them because it does matter how you win these games. Again, if it's a close game on a team that you should be way better than, I'm not trying to diminish the bad team in that situation, but take care of your business. Good teams don't play with their food. And so the Bills didn't. They got the win. Good for them. They're looking great. They're 3-0. And that's why they sit at number 2. And number 1, I'm just not going to take them off until somebody beats them. To be the champ, you got to beat the champ. So the Philadelphia Eagles stay at number 1. This was a close week, though, because the Rams looked like they had it. The Rams were up on them 23-7, I think, or 26-7. And the Eagles surged in the second half, get the job done. They get a field goal blocked at the end to secure the win. They ran it back for a touchdown, but at that point, it really didn't matter because, the game was over. But they added injury, I guess you could say, with that run back. But ultimately, I mean, for them to come through, that was just the pretty good. And also with the Bills, let me backtrack. I got lost over here. The 30-10 against the Jets was in week 2. They beat the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football 31-21. That's right. So, I mean, still took care of business. It wasn't close. If you watch this game, it was close until about halftime. But then it was clear the Bills were the superior team. It wasn't a field goal game. It didn't come down to the wire. So give Buffalo their credit, just like you got to give Philly their credit. So the Eagles came through. They ended up winning 33-26 against the Rams. Jalen Hurts threw 3 touchdowns. So as much as people knock on Jalen Hurts for not really throwing the ball much and doing too much, he went 21 for 32 with 226 and 3 touchdowns. So that's the top 5 rankings. Now, teams that are in the bubble that after week 4 might sneak in, we got the Bucs, who are 3-0, and I want, they're 3-0, and I put 2-1 teams in the top 5. But the thing is, I think if the Lions played the Bucs, I would favor the Lions, and if the Packers played the Bucs, I would also favor the Packers, which is why I had them in the top 5. Yes, the Bucs are 3-0, but they've kind of scraped by. And when I'm talking about beating up on the bad teams, well, they played the Jets, the bad team that the Bills took care of in week 2, and they barely won 29-27, and it was their home opener, and they needed a last-minute field goal to get that done. Now, we give them credit. That's why they're in the bubble. That's why they would be probably the 6th team on this list. But you got to do better than that if you want to be taken seriously as a championship-level team. We also had the Rams there. They were in the top 5 last week, but obviously when you give up a lead like that and lose to the defending champs, you're going to drop. But also it's the defending champs, so that matters. And it was close, and they had a chance to win the game at the end, but obviously the field goal got blocked. So they get some credit there. Baltimore, they're there in that bubble, but they're one game away from completely being outside of the bubble and just not even close to sniffing top 5 because their defense is atrocious right now. They play the Chiefs, which is going to be an incredible game. Both are 1-2. Both need this win. The loser's going to go to 1-3. Now, if Baltimore suddenly wins 30-10, they might be in the top 5 again because it really just matters on how that defense is going to do. We know the offense with Lamar is capable of big things, but can the defense do something? And they play a Chiefs team whose offense honestly isn't that great, so they better be able to do something against the Chiefs. And the Chiefs right now are trying to, I feel like, just scrape by till they get some weapons back on offense. But I like the Chiefs defense better than I like the Ravens defense. So if it's, if it came down to it right now, if fully equipped Chiefs team versus a fully equipped Ravens team, I think I would pick the Chiefs because I think that defense right now is, would play better. And last but not least, we gotta start talking about this team. The Indianapolis Colts are 3-0, and they look pretty good, and they're getting it done. This last week, they got the job done. They won 41-20 at Tennessee, and that's a good sign. Like I said, good teams don't play with their food, and the Colts didn't. Daniel Jones looked good. Jonathan Taylor ran the ball well. He got 3 touchdowns, and like I said, I'm liking what I'm seeing from this Titan team. Let me look ahead and see who they play in week 4 right now and see if they could be making more noise. So they play at the Rams. That's a good game. So 3-0 against 2-1. The Rams are favored by 3.5 at home. But if the Colts get that and they go 4-0, they might sneak into the top 5. So we shall see. So we will see how that all works out. Tomorrow we'll probably do an NBA pod, talk a little bit about all the storylines going into NBA season. But also I am going to follow this podcast up right now with another podcast for my Viking fans. So if you're a Vikings fan, make sure you watch the next podcast I'm about to put up. We'll talk about the Carson Wentz, JJ situation and just how I feel disappointed in the way they're going right now, aside from the on-the-field play. And I'll get into that. But thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about the top 5. If you like it, if you would change it, what would you change? Who should be in there or who shouldn't? And I'll talk to you all soon.